Morning and welcome to an early morning Sunday morning coffee with Caryn. I had to move the time up today to 7 because I am doing a sound healing training all weekend that starts at early at 9 a.m. I'm supposed to be there at 9:30, I think. Whatever time. I didn't even sleep very well last night either, so it's been a crazy full moon. Lots and lots and lots of stuff coming up with changing of habits, right? So I am here with episode 58 of Sunday Morning Coffee with Caryn, and we're going to be talking about what is the freedom frequency. So what is this frequency? Yeah, hi Chase. Chase is in Australia, so she's like, heck yeah, it's not 2 a.m. where I am. I'm glad you could be here. So what I'm going to be teaching today, it's what I call the freedom frequency. It's what I use to hack the law of attraction, to really be able to take the ideas in the book The Secret, to be able to take this idea of the law of attraction and actually embody it in a way that allows you to have true freedom, to have true sovereignty, to truly be able to have unlimited health, unlimited wealth, unlimited abundance, unlimited connections and sisterhood, whatever it is that your heart craves the most. When you are willing to stick to your daily disciplines of living in alignment with your own frequency, then you are able to better serve the planet because you know that none of the stuff out here in virus land affects you in any way, and that you are truly being able to be free from the ties of your programming, the ties um, of anything. There's nothing outside of you anymore because you truly are free. And when you're truly free, the universe is like, oh, they've won the game. Let's give them their grand prize. And the grand prize, of course, is unlimited happiness, unlimited love, unlimited success, all of it. Yes. You just did daylight save. I can't believe that the daylight saving shift is like is like different. It's like weird to me because we don't shift for another month. And the fact that we even have daylight savings anymore, can we all just like agree that it's ridiculous? We all like daylight time anyway. I'm not looking forward to waking up when it's like super duper duper dark. Okay. Some Palo Santo this morning. So, first, we're going to talk about frequency for a second because I've been at a sound healing training all weekend, surprise. And that's what's so funny. I didn't even know. I I didn't realize that when I had planned my lives for this month that was going to correlate. Because I didn't plan on taking the sound healing training until pretty much last minute because that's how it works too. So that's one thing I'll like preface is that when you are in the freedom frequency, you are so much more aware of when things are like presented to you that you do need to take action on right now. And when you don't take the action, the like alarms or red flags or whatever are even more obvious. They're like, huh, surprise, you should have listened. Um, and so you get a lot more aware of whether or not you're in that frequency. So let's just talk about frequencies for a second. Everything is a frequency. Every single thing is a frequency. I am a frequency, you are a frequency, the laptop, the phone, this lighter, the Palo Santo. And not only am I talking on like a quantum level, like if we were to go with like a super microscope and zoom in on this Palo Santo and get to the quantum space, we would see a neutron with protons and electrons buzzing around, and the electrons are going so fast that you can't really tell which one's where and if there's one of them. So in that respect, everything is like 90% or more empty space when you zoom into the quantum. If you have started learning about quantum physics and it hasn't confused you yet, then you haven't started really learning about quantum physics. when you get to the realm of the quantum, everything exists simultaneously. So there is no past, present, or future within the quantum realm. Everything is in the now. There, so if you think a thought, that thought has a brainwave, has a frequency that is emitted through quantum time, and the thought now exists somewhere in the quantum sphere. And what you're doing is clearing all the density and all the bullshit between you and the thought, you and the goal, right? So not only, again, not only, I keep trying to relight it, but we don't need to. Not only is this is this a frequency, as in when we zoom in there, we can see that this is really just made of light. Everything is really just made of light. The whole planet, everything is just light or sound. Um, the whole universe is only frequencies. And Nikola Tesla said that if you understand frequencies, then you've unlocked the secret of the universe. And I tend to very much line up more with Nikola Tesla and Einstein than any other sort of physicist. Like, I'm not on the Newtonian wavelength any longer. Although we did play with, never mind, I digress. Um, so not only would this be a frequency on the quantum realm, like zooming in, right? But if you were to use a these special machines that right now elude me because it's 7 a.m. You could actually pick up that the Palo Santo is emitting a frequency in hertz. So like with roses emit 732 frequency, so 732 hertz per second. So that means a hertz is like one singular frequency, like this, like wah. So if you can imagine 432 in 1 second, that's the frequency of a rose. And then lavender is like 300 and like 90 or something. So those two, the reason why people are so attracted to those two plants is actually because 432 is the heart, is the frequency of our heart chakras. So when they take these different tools, they can see like your heart chakra is emitting a certain frequency rate, your throat chakra emits a certain frequency rate, your crown chakra. So it's not just your whole body that emits a different frequency, it's each chakra that emits a different frequencies too, which is why things like sound baths are so useful, or light, not like tanning beds, but like infrared light uh, healing sessions. Those are all like infrared saunas, right? Not tanning beds, but like infrared saunas. Um, those are all going through your body and cleaning up the frequencies of your own body, of our own, um, of what's stuck and what's blocked, right? So I've, I already kind of knew this. Do we have a value of frequency? Can you can you rephrase that question, Chase? If this was like 3 hours from now, I might understand what you're saying, but and this is tea, it's not even coffee. Um, so your frequency is also your brain. So your brain also emits frequencies. We have gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta frequencies. And it's the same thing. A gamma frequency, so when you're in, like right now, my brain, if you were to take a machine and look at the type, sorry, my dog is like, why the fuck are we not on our walk right now? Why are you on your computer? So if you hear him squeaking, I'm sorry. Um, so my brain right now would be emitting gamma frequency, meaning that it is going at about 100 hertz per second. Okay. So it's really like turning that information through my brain right now and emitting a lot. I'm in talking mode, I'm in teaching mode, I'm doing all the things at once. And that is going to really affect. I'm trying to like pull up my little graph so I say this correctly. I don't want to say it wrong. Huh. Um, that's going to affect whether or not you're like how you can receive. So if you're in gamma mode, you can't receive information very well. Okay. So gamma, where is my gamma chart? There it is. Okay. Zoom. So gamma is like your complex functions, ideas, learning. So being in that, it's between 31 hertz and 100 hertz. So if you think about that, between 31 and 100 is a pretty big span. And that is where gamma, where we are when our brains are in gamma. So again, it's when you're like in the middle of doing a presentation or when you're scrolling through your phone. Like right now, you all are also in gamma because you're receiving all of this information and your brain is processing it and you're learning and you're thinking, right? So even though you're passively doing something, you're looking at a screen that's emitting light, you're hearing my voice, you're listening to these thoughts. Maybe some of these are new ideas for you. So your brain is also in gamma. So beta is when you're awake and alert, but maybe not really learning something. So like when you're driving, right? So driving is one of those things that once you're good at it, when you're a first time learner, when you're first learning to drive a car, your brain is in beta when you're driving. You're like, okay, I got to know how to do this. Remember, if anybody learned how to drive a stick shift, like that was a lot of gamma. Like, okay, now I got to shift, and this is when I have to listen to a noise. So you're really like doing a lot of connecting, or when you're first learning how to tie your shoes or any of that stuff, you're in gamma. But once that becomes like a second nature habit, right? Like how you can just like drive to work and you just drive there and you're like, how I don't even like I remember driving out of my pulling out of my driveway, but I don't really remember getting here. You were still like awake and alert and driving and doing something, but you weren't like actively learning. And there wasn't so much information coming at you that your brain had to be in high alert. It was just driving to work, something that you've done 100,000 times. So it's turned into this more beta length, which is 16 to 30 hertz. So 16 to 30 bumps, frequencies, bumps per second. Alpha is related to being awake and relaxed. So when you close your eyes, and if you were like in the bathtub and you closed your eyes and you were just listening to music, your brain would be emitting alpha waves, which is 8 to 15 hertz. So that is a really good place why like meditation and when you're doing those guided meditations, those sorts of things, your eyes are closed, you're receiving it, but you might drift off, those sorts of things. That the moving from alpha to theta to delta, those are all like the brain waves that we go through when we're falling asleep, right? So if you can think of alpha as like right when you're starting to fall asleep and you're just like, okay, my eyes are closed, I'm releasing the day. Theta is related to that light sleep and super deep relaxation, like when you do drift off during a meditation or whatever, or right when you first started falling asleep. Theta is the best place for us to actually learn new things and to process, which is why you have so many of those beautiful YouTube channels out there that have like deep sleep, like their mantras that they do while you're sleeping, right? Because while you're sleeping, your conscious mind is turned off, but your unconscious mind is awake. So it's still like hearing these words and this affirmation. So like smokers will listen to them, or there's all these sleep meditations, and it's because theta is that place where you really can um, rewire the brain. So if you're, and then delta is like rest, is related to like the dreamless sleep cycle. Theta is between 4 and 7 hertz, which is also, you guys have been watching the Schumann resonance at all. The Schumann resonance is right at like 7.3. So the planet resonate, or no, it's like 4 point, I don't remember. So the Schumann resonance is a theta frequency, though, is what I'm trying to say. You guys, I don't remember. I will. You'll hear me talk about this more and more because I'm doing my own shifting to really focusing on frequencies in the ways of light and sound, so that we can really again embody this freedom that we actually do have, but we're always in gamma. Okay, and then delta is between 0 0.1 and 3 hertz. And again, that's like when you're like totally zonked, you're not in REM, you're not dreaming, you're just like in full restoration mode. Okay, so those are the different frequencies that our brain can be in, and then each frequency determines whether or not you're really like receiving the information and how you're processing it. Us as human. So we go lower in frequency in measure of hertz, the more really, yeah. So, and that's like your brain specifically, Chase. So that's what I was saying with like your heart chakra actually emits a different frequency than your throat chakra. And we do emit a frequency, it's called our torrid field. Frequency of a human is around fundamental resonant the whole body is around a fundamental frequency of around 5 hertz. However, in recent years, indirect methods propose 10 hertz. So about 5 to 10 hertz is what it says that our body is actually emitting, Chase. But that is again because your different chakras are all emitting in a different frequency as well. So it like equals out. So, okay, so now we've talked about this. Let's go back to everyone's law of attraction book, The Secret. Okay. Now that we realize that our brain is emitting different frequencies, and another thing they've been able to prove is actually your frequencies change depending on what thoughts you have. So, negative thoughts actually have a stronger frequency, um, and our brains will attached to those more because of our biology, right? So we are human beings. We've been dealing with biology, and until the last 10,000 years, we didn't even have verbal language really. So, like the part of our brain that processes verbal language and processes complex ideas only was really formed in the last 20, between 20 and 10,000 years of our evolution. And since then, we haven't really evolved. Like our brains don't look different from then. Um, but our circumstances have changed a lot, right? So our brains are wired for fight or flight. So you are fighting this down here, this amygdala, this reptilian brain. So when people are saying like, "Oh, humans are, there's these reptilian creatures and blah blah blah," the dark cabal, yeah, but like we're all fucking reptiles. Get over yourself. Um, we all have a reptilian brain, and then we have a lower mammalian brain. So if you think about like my dog, or you think about a lion, right? The dogs eat, like I see food, I eat food. um Correspondence are like triggers in their brain are like right next to each other, right? They're very instinctual. They're very reactive. um yes, you can train a dog, right? We can train a dog, but just like out in the wild, they are they're going to be like, I see food, I eat food, right? Humans, our eat food our eat food section and our seafood section are separated enough that we can actually think like, do I want to eat that cheeseburger? Is it healthy for me to eat that cheeseburger? Is eating that cheeseburger the best? So we have this sentience, right? We know that we are thinking, and we think about the thoughts that we think about our thoughts. Okay. The fact that we can think about our thoughts is what makes us human. Okay. We can think, huh, maybe I shouldn't go eat that cheeseburger because cheeseburgers make my stomach hurt, or I'm losing weight, or I'm eating less animal products, whatever it is. So, in that respect, right, we are higher, obviously, in the animal kingdom. But that prefrontal cortex, that upper mammalian brain, is actually just like right this tiny little part of your brain. So you have 2/3 of your brain that are actually much more related to the animal kingdom, much more related to fight or flight, much more in instinct mode, in survival mode. Okay. So in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your brain likes the red zone. It only cares about being taken care of. It just wants to make sure that you have food. It just makes wants to make sure you have shelter, and all the rest of it is just icing on the cake as far as the brain is concerned. And that was really helpful until about the last 100 or so years. So, in the last 100 or so years, at the beginning, the reason why the Medicare age in America is 65. So, to be able to get Medicare, which is like um, government assistance for your medical needs as you age. The reason why it's 65 is because when that was created during the New Deal in the 1930s, it was the average age of an adult was only 60 years old. So to get to Medicare, you were living 5 years longer than the average. So not everyone was making it that far. Now the average age of anyone in America is like 77 years old. So a 12-year difference, 12 years before the average. And then you have all these people that are living to be even older. Like my grandpa for a decade was about to die. Every Christmas was going to be grandpa's last Christmas, and he didn't die until he was 92, almost 93 years old. So he was on Medicare for almost 30 years. You guys want to know why the Medicare system isn't working anymore? Anyway, that's a totally different thing. We can look at that though and see everything has shifted, right? I'm looking at the first world countries right now. Obviously, if we were to go dissect this on a huge planetary base, those numbers are different. But you're who I'm talking to. You are the ones who can affect the change. You are the people that I can help. So we're gonna keep it more relatable to you. Average age is 77 years old to die now. So now, and we don't have as many children who died from illnesses. We have better, Western medicine. I love Western medicine. I know that I talk a lot about how there are things that are not good, but I have so many friends that would not be on this planet if there wasn't for Western medicine. I myself probably wouldn't be alive. Um, or at least I'd be in a whole different shape than I'm in. I was born with hip dysplasia. They told me I wasn't going to walk. All sorts of things. So Western medicine has been a huge help, and the advances in science and technology. If we even think about the last 30 years, right? I am a millennial. I am the only generation, not I personally, but millennials are the only generation that have an a very clear sense. Like we remember the analog age really well. Like we remember sitting there with our pencils, twisting back our cassette tapes and recording songs off the radio, and we remember having to like really actually write out everything. And um so we have a really strong memory system of the analog age, but we were in our early teens, in our teenage years when the digital age came out. I was like 19 years old when the first iPhone came out. So we're at least able to swing both ways. We know that the older people have a harder time getting into the digital, and the younger kids look at cursive and they're like, why the fuck am I learning how to write cursive? I write all of my papers on a laptop. So our brains are shifting because of this, and it's shifting super rapidly. So in the neuroscience world, they're trying to figure out how our brains are going to be able to respond, how the human anatomy, how we're all going to change in response to moving out of a survival based society into a thriving society. When you don't have all these people worried about what they're going to eat and whether or not they're going to have shelter that night, and that their healthcare needs are met, they move out of that lower band of the hierarchy of needs, which happens to also correlate to the root chakra, and they move into the next layer, the creative layer, the second chakra layer. And in that layer is when things like Notre Dame was built and all of those great cathedrals in Europe. When you cross reference the time that those were built and what the economy was doing back then, there was dual currencies, and there was no one was poor. So there was no famine, there was no poverty, there was nothing like that at all. Everyone was eating, everyone had a house or somewhere to stay, and because of that, the community was able to rally together and go build things like Notre Dame and these beautiful cathedrals in Western Europe. I tell you all of this because the thriving frequency, the freedom frequency, that is the frequency that your brain needs to be in for the law of attraction to even work. Okay? So many people read The Secret and they go around thinking the thoughts and they go around thinking the positive affirmations and they go around doing all of this, but they're actually still in survival mode. They're still actually like super broke or have no idea how they're going to take care of their health. Or they have money and they have their good health and they have somewhere to stay, but they haven't done any of the deep inner work necessary to clear the density. So remember in the quantum, I think a thought and it immediately exists, and I just now have to raise my frequency to match it. The way you raise your frequency to match it, or it's either that you're raising your frequency to the level where it is, or you're holding the vision so much that you're attracting it into you, right? So that law of attraction comes this way, right? I don't really like talk. I don't teach my clients about the law of attraction so much because it makes it everything so like external. But I know that so many of you have at least read that book that it's a good starting point for you. So, freedom frequency. There are four things that I do every single day to stay in freedom frequency. And I was someone who a year ago, 2 years ago, was definitely still in the like while I had food and while I had a place to live, my mindset was still in survival mode. I was still constantly like, where's our next meal going to come from? When am I going to be able to? Do I have to choose between groceries and the mortgage this week? When am I going to be able to pay for clothes for my kids because they're all just wearing hand me downs with holes in them and I have no idea? Christmas is coming up. So I was in constant fight or flight mode, which is what the majority of the population is in, especially now in this virus world. Um, so we're still activating that mammalian brain, the lower mammalian and reptilian brain on a daily basis while our brain is actually going at gamma rates because we're taking in all this information and we're watching our phones and we're trying to check out and we're doing all these things to not have to deal with the thoughts in our heads, and we are emitting essentially like a repulsion to anything that's positive. Your body starts emit like you think you're like, okay, I'm gonna do my mirror affirmations, and you do your mirror affirmations, but then the whole rest of the day you're like, fuck, how am I gonna do this? And oh my gosh, and then this happened with my ex, and then this is happening. But then you come home and you're like, okay, now I'm gonna do my affirmations. Doing like great, you're doing them a couple of times a day, but that's not keeping you consistently in the frequency, right? As we move into this new age of Aquarius, as we move into this new age of thriving and abundance, those of us who have already learned to master our freedom frequency will be our we will be and are the leaders who will be able to take the rest of the world and be like, hey, I know it's scary. Hey, I understand that facing your inner demons is terrifying. Hey, I know that rewiring the way that you think is not easy. But do you want to keep living in this fear-based, scary, every day there's a new out to eat me survival mode life? Or would you like to be able to raise your vibration and raise your frequency to be living where there's love and abundance and success? Because I promise you, even through everything that's happened, my business has grown exponentially this year. I know lots of people whose businesses have grown exponentially this year. I know people have been traveling all year long despite the travel restrictions. I know people like I know so many people that have been in the thriving space that when I check back into the survival mode area, I am it's such a dissonance for me, right? Just even reading some of the things that will pop up on my Facebook immediately are like, does not compute. What's the long game? I can see right through this bullshit. I can see right through the crap they're trying to say because I no longer subscribe to the train of thought that induces fear and anxiety and survival based reactions, right? So let's break it down. The first thing, freedom frequency, okay? You're going to hear me say this so many times. The freedom frequency. The freedom frequency is the frequency that you are in when you are constantly attracting miracles. You're living in synchronicities. You can't even keep up with how many synchronicities happen in your life. You are looking around your life and you're like, wow, my life is so amazing. How could it get any better? And then it does get better. Um, Other people that you used to be friends with are like, I hate you. Your life is too good. It's too perfect. You must be hiding something. And the trick is, so the first thing about the freedom frequency is transparency or integrity, whichever word. Your information fun, you're informative, fun, and have so much to share with us. God, I love you. You've inspired me to do my dragon invocation after this. Been slipping out with all sorts of frequencies. Yeah. See? Ha. I love you, Chase. You're awesome. Yeah. So the dragon invocations, I'm calling them freedom frequency shifts now. Um, just so that I can help more people who might be intimidated by dragons. Uh what we all want is freedom, right? What we all want is freedom. And there are so many people out there that can offer you that. And I may be able to offer it to you in a more magical, frequency based dragon sort of intensity. But it's what we're all of us as new earth leaders are striving to teach others is how to live in freedom, freedom from fear, freedom from lack, freedom from insecurity, freedom from the survival lifestyle, right? We want you all to be able to thrive. And that's why yesterday I came on live and was talking about purpose over profit and transparency over appearance. So the first thing though about freedom frequency is that transparency, is that integrity. The transparency part comes from, yes, I am a freedom queen. Yes. The the transparency part comes from the fact that you can't bullshit the universe. Okay? You might be able to come on here and tell me how you have a 5-figure month and this, that, and the other, and I could maybe believe you. I probably wouldn't believe you. I read energy super well. But other people might come on and be like, "Oh yeah, she can teach me how to reach mid 5 figures every single month and this, that, and the other." Blah, 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 blah. But you're not being transparent about the fact that while you make that much every month, you also spend that much every month. You're not keeping the money in your bank account, you're spending it all the time because you actually have a problem with receiving that sort of abundance. So you're sitting in the 5 figures, you're going in and out, your costs and your income are about equal, and you are no closer to $1 million than most of your clients because they pay you and you immediately spend it, right? That isn't being transparent if that's what you do. So, and you're not in integrity either. If you're like, I'm going to help you build $1 million business by helping you scale to 6-figure months, blah, 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 when you yourself are not doing the things necessary to actually have a 7-figure business, right? Like you might have net 7 figures over the year, but at the end of the year, you're scrounging to pay your taxes because you've just been spending, 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 spending. That would be a lack of transparency or integrity. Those two words can be like weird because you're like, okay, well, transparency means to be able to see through. But glass is transparent or a diamond is transparent, right? So I always think about diamonds. You see all of the time, I'll use the diamond emoji. It's one of my favorite things because diamonds are alchemized under pressure, right? It's just this black lump of coal like you would get in your freaking stocking at Christmas if you were not a good girl or good boy from Santa Claus, but under pressure. So going through the dark night, deep down, dark in the ground, under extreme pressure, is how all the diamonds were formed. Now, every diamond that we pull out has been formed for like millions of years, but that's how they were originally formed, was through extreme pressure and alchemization process that caused the carbon in the coal to be heated up so much and pressurized that it then cracked open. And like honestly, how it turns into from a lump of coal into a diamond still eludes me. Like I'm actually gonna make a note to like watch a video on diamonds. So that density, right? That intense thickness of the coal is transformed into this transparent, right? Like diamonds are looked in clarity, right? Can you see through the diamond or does are there imperfections and is it cloudy, right? So you always are looking for like highest clarity, best cut, all those sort of things. Right now, we're just going to talk about the clarity. How the diamond is cut, that's totally up to you. Is it clear? They're also the hardest, they're the hardest mineral on the planet is diamonds, right? You can cut glass with a diamond. That's where the integrity comes in, right? So the diamond is so strong that nothing can penetrate it, and yet it's totally transparent and see-through. That's the freedom frequency right there. Diamonds are sought after, they're precious, all of those things. So if you need to crank up, shine bright like a diamond, shine bright like a diamond, like every morning to get into your freedom frequency zone, awesome. So the first thing, honestly, is like understanding that you need to be in integrity and you need to be transparent with yourself. This is a self thing. You don't need to go out and tell the whole world that you're spending all of this money, right? You just need to know that when you're not getting clients, it's because they are able to tell that you're not being honest. You are not in you are not in integrity. You are not being transparent with yourself, right? This is not very much like it really is a self-discipline. These are daily self-discipline practices. But when you're transparent with yourself, it's a lot easier to be transparent with others. There's literally nothing that I haven't told you guys. I can't think of one. I'll be riffing and I'll start talking and be like, oh my God, am I really telling them this? Okay, I am. And that's because for me, vulnerability creates venerability. We talked about this the other day, and transparency is the key to trust, right? You trust me because you know that I'm never going to bullshit you. Even if I give you the tough dragon mother loving, right? Even though I call you out on your bullshit because I can see where you're out of integrity and you do get those Kali flames and you do get a whole lot of no bullshit blunt love, but that's because I can see the diamond in you and you're walking around like a lump of coal, and I am not going to subscribe to your coal frequency. So the daily disciplines, so that's like the overall like thing, right? You need to know that you need to be in integrity and in transparency. So the daily disciplines I do every single morning, every day, and all day long. I have a playlist filled with songs that all get me into that frequency of I am a badass, I'm amazing. So Shine Bright Like a Diamond, Girl on Fire, High Hopes. Yes, I'm naming a lot of pop songs. Those songs that at the end of it, you're just like, the champion, top of the world. Um, all these songs are just at the end of it, you can feel your heart is lighter, your face is smiling, you probably danced a lot. That is something that gets you into that frequency. And then what you learn to do is, how do I feel? Okay, so every morning when I wake up, I check in, how am I feeling right now? And if I don't feel like I just heard my favorite song on the radio, I know that I'm not in my freedom frequency. I'm not in alignment with all of my dreams. And I can sit there and affirm in the mirror 100 times that I'm going to be the next president of the United States of America, and it's not going to happen because my whole body isn't in that frequency. So there's a lot of body awareness that comes with living in your freedom frequency. You can be in the grocery store and you check in. How do I feel right now? Oh, I don't feel like I just listened to my favorite song on the radio. Okay, so how do I shift? So we won't always have our favorite song to bust out while we're sitting in the grocery store line, right? So having your own mantras or practices that you have. So I will do just like vocal toning up and down while I'm standing in the grocery store to get me there. So I might just be like, oh, oh, and I will resonate within myself. And I don't even have to do it that loud. Like, other people around me don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm just singing a song in my head. I don't actually give a shit about what other people are thinking. But I do this and I feel the resonance in my heart. I feel the resonance in my throat. I feel in my body, okay, I now feel, even though I didn't just dance my ass off, even though I didn't do any of that, I now feel like I just listened to my favorite song on the radio. Okay. I also do channeling every day. So I've taught you guys this trick before, but I'm going to teach it to you again because it's one of the best tricks on the planet. So transparency, right? You have to be transparent with yourself. But what if you're someone like me who's done a ton of shadow work, who's done a ton of that inner work, and you're like, I don't think that there's anything else for me to have to do, so there must not be, and everything that you're saying is total bullshit because I do that already. I can promise you there is something deeper that you can dig up. So before we do the channeling, so the first thing is the dancing in the morning or listening to it. I don't always dance, but I do some sort. No, that's not true. I do some sort of body movement while listening to the jams that just get me in that high vibe every single morning. It is the way that my body reacts. I can hear it. I can feel it. It is a frequency. I know that I am a frequency, so I match it. Pop songs are made at a 440 frequency though, not 432. So realize that you're not coming just by listening to the pop song, you're not going to come straight into the heart of 432, but you're going to get really close. And then the rest of it is your own mindset work, essentially, that shifts you the rest of the way. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that while I'm out and about all day, every day, I'm thinking, how do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? What am I feeling? I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. I'm not in resonance. And it's not that I say, oh, I'm feeling angry and I push it down and I go into my oming. It's I feel angry and I become aware of the anger. And as soon as I become aware that I'm angry and I can name it, I name it to tame it. I name that I'm angry and then I say it's okay to be angry. It's okay that I'm super frustrated at this grocery store line right now. I'm frustrated at the fact that there's masks and whatever it is. And I can go through in the grocery store very quickly, accept it, and then let it go and come back into now. So, sorry, those were actually three things all at once, and I realized I didn't like spread them out. So let me like one, have a daily morning, like first thing in the morning way that you test whether or not you are in alignment with your biggest, baddest dreams. I'm going to be a president of the United States one day. I'm going to be city councilwoman next year. I'm going to be senator in another 4 years. Like, I have a plan. I have a that timeline, that space in the quantum field has a certain resonance that I can feel in my body whether or not I'm in that timeline. Then I go out throughout my day and I'm checking in with myself. So, first thing is I set it. The second thing is that I'm checking in with myself. The third thing is that if I'm not in that frequency, I don't just like shove it down and push it aside. I actually um, accept how I'm feeling. I have no judgment towards my feelings. Thank you, Chase. Yes. Oh my gosh, guys. Yeah, this was an early morning one. If you guys have questions, please DM me or leave comments. 7 a.m. lives are this is a stretch for me. So the third thing is that I've taught this to you guys so many times, that's why I kind of like brushed over it, but I also know I have a lot of new followers. I don't shame any of my feelings at all. In fact, I embrace them and I use a lot of practices to honor them, right? So we are dualistic creatures. We have ups and we have downs. We have good days. We have bad days. We have pendulum swings like this. Master of a pendulum, the master gurus, first of all, they're walking around just emanating theta waves all the time versus gamma. Secondly, we are they are able to swing in the pendulum and they just don't go all the way the other way. So gurus still have bad days too, but their bad day is like a normal person's awesome day. And a guru's awesome day is a normal person's like miraculous, like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. You by Loki, like it's unfathomable magic to them, right? So that's where I teach you to go, is to go live in that frequency where even on your bad days, it's an average person's fucking amazing, like best day ever is your bad day, right? So we're shifting you into a different space. Or you're able to move through it really quick, right? So standing in the grocery store line, oh, I'm really angry, or I'm really frustrated, or I'm this, I'm that, or I'm sad, or whatever. I can accept it, I acknowledge it, I name it to tame it. That's something I use with my kids because we're teaching them about feelings, right? And I honor it. I let the anger run through me. Takes about 90 it only takes 90 seconds for an emotion to run through you if you actually allow the emotion to be honored. Only 90 seconds, okay? 90 seconds. Be mad, be angry, be fuming for 90 seconds and then let it the fuck go. Because the rest of that, anything longer than 90 seconds, is actually your thoughts triggering another response to cause more anger to come out. And you've now put yourself into a negative biofeedback loop of anger. If you can just allow yourself to release the anger after 90 seconds, it's run its natural course. And then the fourth thing is that I do something to come back into it. So I sing a song, or I put my headphones back in and listen to another song. I tend to go into stores actually listening to mantras. So I might not be listening to pop songs because the pop songs are on the radio anyway, but I have a ton of Kundalini tracks and a ton of mantra tracks that, I'm just walking through the store with my headphones on. Wahe Guru, Aminarahe Waheguru Waheguru Satnam. And it's just like singing, and I'm just vibrating and listening to a friggin' awesome mantra that's like, I am the center of the universe, I am all that there is. And that's what my brain is hearing, that's what my body is feeling, and all of the other shit that's happening in the store, just, I'm oblivious to it. Um, so those are it. Like, that's it. Those are the four things all day, every day. I start my day making sure I'm tuned in and I can feel in my body. So other ways that we do this. When I lead you guys in group dragon invocations, group frequency shifts, we tap in, right? We tune into the channels. We get into alignment. We put our feet on the ground. We stand straight up. So I do this too. I stand straight up, put my feet on the ground. I feel my feet connect to the earth grid. I set the attention. I'm connecting to the 12th dimensional creation energy that is available on planet Earth. And I feel that connection. And then I send my energy down into Gaia and into the earth. And I am able to get any information from there, like tap in, oh, what's going on with the devas and the crystals, and what's going on with my own personal akashic crystal, and all the information. Are there any downloads that I've gotten that I need to be consciously aware of? And then I shoot my energy upwards towards my higher self through the rest of my chakra pillar and open and illuminate that. So that takes about another, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, but you can be doing that while you're listening to your mantras, while you're listening to your song, right? Like they are all different ways that I can teach you. These are all of the different tricks to tune back into your freedom frequency, your frequency where you are a bright, shining diamond lighthouse magnet, a giant electromagnet where all the money you can dream of, all of the success you can dream of, all of the love, all of the service, all of the success, all of the creativity, all of the health is attracted to you because you would know immediately when you are no longer vibrating at the frequency of your dreams. And you get to know it so well that it's like instantly you recognize it. Versus, when I was first doing this for a few years, and even Chase is saying it, you realize that you slip back in and it's like weeks. It's like weeks and you haven't listened to your invocation. It's weeks and you haven't done any yoga or listened to any mantras. It's been weeks and you haven't been out in nature to play, right? All of those things, playing, singing, dancing, meditation, mantras, yoga, hiking, nature, like those are all things that you get into your freedom frequency doing. All of those, every single one of them. I'm telling you the daily disciplines I use because I am checking all day, every day. The reason why you can look at my life and be like, holy shit, she's a magician, she has literal miracles happen to her all the time, is because I don't go 3 or 4 days without checking back in with myself. I don't go more than 3 hours probably without checking back in. And when I do notice that there's something that I just keep ramming my head against, or like I am not receiving the thing that I want, I do my channeling trick, which I will spend the last couple of minutes teaching you, and then I'm going to jump in the shower. I'm going to go to my sound healing training. So, the channeling trick. Yeah, diving for chase. So the thing that you just love to do where you're like, I am one with everything else, that is your freedom frequency. How can you feel that way, chase, when you're not diving? How can you feel that way? How can you feel like you're, on stage dancing if that's your thing, if you're not always on stage dancing? If your thing that just brings so much joy and love to your heart is um, writing, but you know that you can't be just writing all of the time, how can you be in the flow and in the vibration of when you're in that writing mode, right? So you are creating your life daily when you're living in the freedom frequency. You are creating the vibration. You're consciously creating your vibration. You're no longer unconsciously creating it. You're turning off your TV, you tune in on Sundays for your Sunday morning coffee with Caryn, but you're not like just randomly scrolling through Facebook. You're not like taking in all that information. You're getting off of the electronics and back into nature. You're doing the things necessary to bring yourself back into homeostasis. And when things aren't working, no matter how much shadow work you think that you've done, no matter how much clearing you think you have done, you can always come back to the two pen method of channeling. So this is a way of channeling that I was taught by Krista Bukowski last year, and then Ari Kala taught me some other things. So it's kind of like a mixture of both. Essentially, you take one pen color and you assign that to your conscious mind. So you're going to be having a conversation with you, your conscious mind, and whomever. In this case, we're going to use the thing that you want. And I will just use an example of myself of selling out the affluence retreat. So when we were like having, wondering why people weren't signing up and all these things, took one color pen, and I write, I am speaking to the energy of the affluence retreat in Sedona, Arizona over the 1111 portal. What are we missing? Like, what do we still have to work on? And then I switch the pen color, right? And switching the pen color triggers my conscious mind to now believe when I go back and reread the channeling that somebody or something else wrote the answer. Okay. The price point is too high. You need to open it up to be more inclusive for everybody. The location, blah, 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 whatever. Or maybe you have a different dream. Let's see. Spit one out. Leave me. What's something that you're like, I feel like I've done everything right, but I am not receiving it. Like I'm doing all those things, Caryn, but I'm still not receiving it. Okay, so you can write it down, and I have entries where I'm like, I'm speaking to my business. I'm trying to figure like, what did I do that I didn't hit my goal this month? And my business responded, you weren't listening to me. You were listening to your ego. Every time you thought I was talking to you, you were actually listening to your ego, and you were doing all these things the way they should be, the old way. And of course, it didn't work because you're here to teach the new way. That is not something that I wanted to hear, right? It's not pleasant when you find out that you've just spent 2.5 weeks um, putting all your time and energy into doing something and then find out that, oh, I wasn't even channeling my business, I was channeling my fucking ego. So by switching the pen color, I know though that I am talking to my heart of my business. Pure bliss. Well, Chase, pure bliss is the freedom frequency state. Okay, the joyful mother. She's got a name. There's a Indian, a, a Buddhist priestess, but this woman was able to like her whole like not the village, but her home and like the estate that she like essentially there was an orphanage and a teaching area, like if you can imagine back in the Asian countries how they have like whole kind of villas set up on a hill, and that that's like the sacred monastery, and like I think it was a monastery, was burning. The whole thing was up in flames, and everyone in the village was like, get the water, oh my god, like freaking out. And this woman was standing, it was her property, and she was just standing there laughing. She was just laughing because she knew that if her orphanage, her villa, was burning, that there must be a reason why Shiva was coming in here and doing that, or whoever. I don't remember if she was Buddhist or Hindu, so I'm like mixing the gods, but whatever. She knew that there was a reason for it, right? She knew that even though it seemed as though her world was ending, that she was actually creating her own world, that she was actually the one that created all of these things to happen. And she was sitting there laughing because she started imagining what the new, bigger, better, improved space was going to look like, and was able to sit there in the chaos and in the commotion and in everything and laugh. That is bliss. That is like the epitome of what the freedom frequency really is to be able to stand in the grocery store line and be angry, and it not even take 90 seconds for the anger to run through you. In fact, you don't even get angry, you're amused. Everything in life becomes amusing to you because everything in life that's happening to you, you are actually causing it to happen because you are not separate. Remember at the beginning when we were talking about the Palo Santo? How when you zoom in on the Palo Santo, it's really empty space and they can't tell where one electron starts and where one electron ends? In quantum physics, now and tomorrow and yesterday are all the same thing. In quantum physics, there's no reason why you shouldn't have pure bliss all the time, why you shouldn't have $1 billion in your bank account right now. In fact, there are plenty of people that have stories of, they were dollars short to be able to leave a tip for the waitress, and they just sat there and they're like, let's see if I have $1, and they were just laughing and having fun, and they pull out $1 and put it down and look, and no more, close it. I wonder if what if we made another dollar a pair? What do you think? What do you think? And open their thing, and there's another dollar. And she did that 7 times to create the $7 she needed to leave the tip. I don't remember what the name of the book was that I read, but she had a bunch of them. Like she needed an extra grand, and she just sat there like playing with this idea. And a couple of weeks later, looked in her bank account, and she had an extra grand in her account. And no matter how much she looked through her transactions, there was no reason. Like the extra grand literally just appeared. And it's because she had shifted her frequency to be in a timeline where that extra grand had actually always been in her bank account. With my mothering, I'm actually frustrated with most people around me as I know I'm doing the work and others are still waking up. Having Yeah. So angry reaction. So that is the key word right there. If you are reacting, you are not in your freedom frequency. If you are responding, this is why I've been talking about words so much, okay? Your words and your thoughts have a vibration. So it doesn't matter if you say out loud, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. While you're staring in the mirror and doing all of that. If the second you leave the mirror, you're walking around thinking about how you're a dumb idiot mother and that you don't have anything to give and oh my god, I can't believe this, blah 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 blah. All of those thoughts that you just spewed out into the universe mitigates all of the words you just spoke out loud in the mirror. That's why I'm saying you need to take your practices out of your sacred space and into the real world, right? You need to be able to have these people that aren't waking up. And instead of being angry and frustrated that they're not waking up, channel and ask yourself, why do I need to save the planet? You don't. We're not here to be saviors. Being a martyr is just the other side of being a victim. We don't chill in victim energy. Victim energy is not freedom. So there's some questions that you need to be asking, like, why am I feeling like such a shitty mom right now? And then ask the highest version of you when you're mothering, what am I doing? Like, what should I be doing instead? You can talk to the CEO of your company, even if you are a single, like I run 2 companies by myself, but I have different sub personalities. My CFO is different than my CEO, is different than my secretary, and yet I'm able to channel them, right? Other people would call this schizophrenia. It's not. It's a practice that's been used for years by psychologists to tap into different parts of your personality. Um, vocal dialogue. And, Debbie Ford teaches this in Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Instagram, I might lose you. So I love you. Yep. Instagram, I'm losing you. I love you all. Have a beautiful day. You're gonna pop off. It's gonna cut you off in 10 seconds, and I can't press the end button. Oh, there it is. Okay, I love you, Instagram. Bye. Okay, and Facebook. We're pretty much there, but they were cutting off. Yeah, so that's where you need to go, Chase, honestly. And the rest of you too, if you're like, okay, well, I don't really know where to start with all of this, like I don't know about my morning practice, none of that, start with channeling. And if that doesn't work, reach out. I'm opening up 20 frequency shift activations, formerly known as bespoke dragon invocations, for the rest of the year. So I'm planning on wrapping my year up after Thanksgiving and not having to work during December. I'm only opening 20 more of those sessions for the year, and I'm only going to be taking like 4 or 5, a week. Thank you, Chase. So if you want one of those, please reach out. Let me know so I can book you in before I actually make that announcement. It's going live next week, uh, like public, that I only have 20 left. But if you guys want to jump in and get them now, just let me know and reach out. And yeah, I love you. Thank you so much for bearing through an hour long of some ramblings as I woke up this morning. And I'm so excited for the rest of my sound healing training that I'm going to be at today and all the other things I'll be able to teach you guys. Continue to check in every Sunday. If you have missed things, if you're new to my channel, there's a YouTube channel, all of my live stream videos. I have gone live 68 times in the last year. Okay. I have so much information that is out there for free for you to binge and get with it and get into that freedom frequency. And, I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. I'm here to live my purpose. And my purpose is to help the entire planet break free of the illusion of suffering and to live in its own freedom frequency, so we can see what would happen if instead of just one pocket of the world having abundance, like when Notre Dame was built or when the Egyptian pyramids were built, where it was the same thing. There wasn't any hunger. Like, people think it was slaves, but it really wasn't. They actually were really prosperous. Their currency was food, right? So these different areas where abundance occurred, I want to see that on a global scale. I want to see the whole planet having plenty of food and water and medicine, having access to education, creating because they're not worried, no longer living in that first chakra, and see what happens when we can get the whole planet to move into creation mode and to have the will to move forward and to value each other and to value this planet that we live on and to value our connection with the stars and to speak our truth and to be transparent and to be in integrity and to shine bright like a diamond and to be able to see the future and to see what's happening and to have conversations with our higher self or our lower self. You can ask, like, what is the block that's stopping me right now? And the block will tell you. You have to believe the answer. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes I promise you, you're going to reread your channelings and be like, fuck, I did not want to hear that. But you set the intention, you trust your intention. So I will just leave you with that. Remember, 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 on the 4th of October, your intention, an intention that you set, is something that you claim to be right now. Remember, in the quantum, there is no difference between the future, the past, and now. An intention is something that you claim to be and have right now. Not someday will be, but you have and you be right now. So if you are out there intending to be in your freedom frequency, then you're in it. It's literally that fast. If you intend to be healed from some infliction, you're healed. Okay, imagine I just went this like this on the top of your head. You're healed. That's how quick it can be. It's the reason why, if you go look at videos of me from last year or 2 years ago, my voice doesn't sound the same. I don't look the same. Nothing about me is the same. I have vibrated into an entirely new being. I have an entirely new body. I'm here living within a crystalline light body, no longer weighed down by the density of my carbon based DNA. And that took a lot of work. It took a lot of changing my vibration in my brain. It still does every single day. It's why I have daily disciplines. Those are just four of my daily disciplines, guys. And it was really like one wrapped up into, broken down for you. My life is a constant stream of miracles because I make sure that I stay in the water. I don't allow myself to bounce between the banks of rigidity and the banks of chaos. I stay in that river of well being. And because I stay in that river of well being and I stay in my canoe, I live in my affluent lifestyle. I am constantly meeting new people that have new opportunities. 2 weeks ago, I declared I was going to be a published author in 2021. And last week, like within 10 days, I was signing a book deal. Like, that's how fucking fast this can happen. So I love you. I think you guys are amazing. Thank you, Chase. Mwah. I hope you all have just the most beautiful Sunday or Monday, wherever you are in the world, whenever you catch us on the replay. And I'll see you next week. Next week, we are going to be diving in. What are we talking about next week? I don't remember. I think it's time for me to switch from tea to coffee. So I love you. I'll see you later. Cheers.